Hey everyone, welcome to the photo critique video. You can see I'm in a different setting right now. I'm in my shed doing some DIY. I think we're all trying to keep busy with the coronavirus, staying at home. Speaking of staying at home, the photos you guys sent me helped tons because it kept me busy. Hopefully we can do more in the future. I just need you guys to keep sending me photos. If you do, just send them to the email on the screen right now. I'm also going to link the rules at the end of this video where I talk about what you need to do to submit those photos, what type of photos, etc. So keep that in mind as well. And let's get the ball rolling. One last thing, please forgive me for mispronouncing your names. You're not Portuguese like I am. You're not English, some of you, so if I mispronounce your name, I'm sorry. It's just that I'm not used to some of those languages. And last but not least, thank you for submitting emails with stories and explaining what's going on with the picture, giving me context. I'm a curious person, and the fact that you take your time not only to submit the photo, but actually give it some context to explain what's going on, it helps me a lot, and I really appreciate it. So let's get the video going.
Okay, so the first one is by Mircea Rosca. This is a bikini race in the city of Sibiu or near Sibiu in the Arena Platos Paltinis winter resort. So this is a bikini race, which is a time show on the slopes where women are dressed only in swimsuits and some winter accessories. Now, just looking at the picture, I am cold. I mean, who in their right mind would do this? But, I mean, it makes for an amazing picture, right? Anyway, going back to the picture itself, rule of thirds is like smack on. It's just perfect, right? If you zoom in, she is tack sharp. Absolutely tack sharp. I assume this is a crop, but it's tack sharp. I also love that the background is not busy at all. There's nothing there. Even at 5.0, the background is not distracting at all. And the other cool thing is that this is shot in the snow. And if you ever shot in the snow, you know how hard it can be because the camera is thrown off completely. Same for when you shoot black animals, say a black cat or a black dog. The camera can be thrown off, so you need to know what you're doing. So excellent job, Mircea. I love it. It's original. I never knew people would go do snowboarding in bikinis. That's just crazy to me, but it should be fun and must be a blast photographing this crazy sport. So excellent job. Thank you very much for submitting your photo. Okay, so the next one is by Paul Hendren, and here on the right side you can see the settings that were used, the camera as well. So as far as the picture is concerned, the cropping seems a bit weird, but I assume this is because it was used for Instagram, because it's a square crop. If that's the case, then that's absolutely fine. Otherwise, it just feels weird to have so much space here at the bottom and at the top. But it's not like you could crop in too much more, because then you'd be cutting off the hands of both players. So this was definitely a crop, an intentional crop. So if it's for Instagram, that's absolutely fine. As far as the picture is concerned, you can see that there's movement, definitely movement. This guy's face, look at it. It's like he really wants to go grab that ball. There's some sort of symmetry, like these two legs are the same as these two, and the arms both going out. I like that. It's like a mirror image, so to speak. I think it could be just a little bit sharper on this guy's face. I think the focus is somewhere down at the bottom, or it looks like, because it gets softer as you go up. But maybe could maybe it's motion blur. I'm not sure here if it's motion blur or not. But anyway, the picture is really cool. There's definitely action going on. The background is a bit busy, but there's nothing way too distracting. The only reason why there's a bit too much going on is because the colors are pretty much the same. on the background as this player, but it's cool. There's no, it's like the goalkeeper's not even there. There's no other defenders. You can focus on what's going on here. So good job, Paul. Thank you for submitting your picture. Okay, so the next picture is by Radim Dutnet. Jesus, I'm sure I mispronounced that completely. But the curious thing of Radim here is that he says, I'm sure you're familiar with these teams. One of them is Neptune, the other one's Moycullen. That's because they're Irish teams. And yes, Neptune, the one you see shooting the basket, CNS, that's the sponsor of the team. And Neptune is the team here in Blackpool in Cork. So it's a local team. So that's cool to see that someone locally watches this channel. And thank you, Radim, for submitting the picture. As for the picture itself, it's interesting to see a left-handed hook. So if it was a normal right-handed hook, maybe you wouldn't see his face. But in this case, I think you got it spot on. You can see the context, you can see the rim. It's a vertical photo in basketball. That's absolutely fine because you can capture the whole player. Seems like did he get the shot or not? I don't know. But I like the picture. It's obviously indoors. It's a struggle. You shot at 1/640 of a second, f2.8. I would raise the shutter speed a little bit so the ISO goes down a little bit too, but it doesn't seem like it's that noisy. At least to me, it doesn't look that noisy. The focus is good. And good job, Radim. Thank you very much for submitting the photo. I like it. It's a nice action basketball shot. Okay, so the next one is by Abdel. He writes from Paris and seems to be a huge Barcelona fan. So this was the first time he went to see Barcelona in Camp Nou. And you can see here the settings at the bottom. f5.6, ISO 2000, and 1/250 of a second. Now, just from those settings alone, I would suggest that you go a bit higher because you're talking about professional footballers and they move really, really fast unless they're standing still, which doesn't look like it. Looks like Nelson Semedo is about to do something with the ball. Now, the reason I like him is because he came from my team, just as a side note, from Benfica, so I miss him. Anyway, back to the photo. It seems there's too many distractions. I'm gonna be very honest with you, okay? This guy here is cut in half. If it would be okay if the full body was shown, okay? If the crop was not like this, and if there was something else. And then there's Piqué at the back. It looks like he's worried about his hair or something. It just feels weird. There's way too many distractions. We don't really know what's happening with the play. If you could remove, let's say not remove, because I'm not telling anybody to remove stuff in Photoshop. In a situation, let's put it this way. If this situation was that this guy was not here, Piqué was not there, so it was just Nelson Semedo, it would make for a much, much better picture. Also, the back, the horizon is not level at all. You can see the lines here. What you can see, why can't I? Okay, não estou a perceber. Also, the horizon is not level. You can see there's a slight improvement to be made there. So if you level that, it would be slightly better. But yeah, overall, I think this is more of a excellent memory for you to see your first Barcelona game and to be right behind the photographers, like you said on your email. It's like a good memory of an excellent day, I would imagine, rather than a really good picture, because like I said, there's way too many distractions. It's just busy. Okay, it's not a problem too much of the settings, although I think you could raise that shutter speed a bit so there's no motion blur at all, and might make the picture a little bit sharper, but it's just the distractions. You can't even tell that you were not sitting down. I mean, the angle is a little bit higher than usual, but it's okay because you were at the bottom level of the seats, right? So the level that you took the picture at is okay, but I think it would make better if there were less distractions in the picture. So yeah, that's my criticisms. Don't take it personally. I just think it could be improved. Okay, so the next one is by Alex Leech, and this was shot at an annual mountain bike race in Wellington, New Zealand, using the Canon 650D with a 24-105 f4 lens. Now, the reason I have this zoomed in at the moment is you can see a little bit of the noise here, and just check the focus on the guy's face, right? It's a bit soft when you compare to the wheel, okay? Now I'm going to zoom out. You don't notice it immediately, but if you start pixel peeping, you can see that the focus was not smack on. Now, I don't know how fast the guy was going, but that's the first thing I notice is the focusing. I think you could have cropped a little bit further. I don't know how much of a crop this was initially, but you could have cropped a little bit more. You can still see that he's carrying the bike in the water, but just to avoid way too much background, so to speak, and focus on the action itself. But other than that, other than the focus being just a little bit off, I also noticed that on your settings, the shutter speed may be a little bit too high, because then you start getting noise because the ISO needs to compensate. I don't know how fast he was going, but walking with or running with a bike inside the river with rocks, I reckon he was not as fast as a football player. So you could definitely lower that shutter speed, which in turn will let you lower the ISO as well. So you'll get less noise, you'll get more out of the picture. But other than that, that's cool. It should be interesting to photograph something like this. I've never done it, but it's I wonder how wet you get as well, because you seem to be quite close, because the focal length was at 55 millimeters. So I wonder how wet you get to this if you're shooting this type of sport. But yeah, I like the picture. Thank you very much for submitting it, Alex. Okay, so the next picture is by Bob Bruce. So first things first, his expression is amazing. I mean, it reminds me like Judge Dredd or RoboCop or something. Looks awesome. I also love that you can see the reflection on the visor of his hands grabbing onto the bike, and a little bit of the track there. So the reflection is awesome. But his expression especially is amazing. Background's completely blurred out. I assume this is inside because you named the picture Velodrome, so I assume this is inside of like a stadium, like a covered stadium. Anyway, the background, there's nothing there. It's amazing. There's just a little bit of a line there, I assume from the track. That's absolutely fine. The only issue I have with this picture is the cropping. Now, cropping limbs like this, midway, I don't like it personally. I would prefer to see the whole body, or if you want to crop, in this case you wouldn't be able to crop above the knee because you'd be cutting off the hands as well. But cropping like this is something that I don't like too much. But regardless of that, the picture is amazing. I mean, the contrast, the colors are really great job on the post-processing. The expression is amazing. The helmet could have been cropped a little less too. I mean, you're cutting it off just a little bit. So that's the only issue I have. I would like to see the whole body of the guy racing, but overall, just his expression just pops out as soon as you open the pictures, like bam, in your face. Love it. Great job, Bruce. Bob Bruce, sorry. Thank you for submitting your picture. Loved it. Okay, so the next picture is by Srdjan Radulovic. Again, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Just looking at the picture initially, the focus seems to be good. Okay, so the next picture is by Srdjan Radulovic. Again, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Just looking at the picture, the first impression, the focus is stacked sharp. There seems to be almost no motion blur. The only motion blur I see is here in this guy's feet. I assume he's trying, or he was going to try and grab the ball or tackle him. He's also, I like the detail, is grabbing onto the shirt of the other guy. The only sad thing is that he has his eye closed. It would be awesome if he had his eyes open. Maybe there's a separate shot in the same sequence that you have where is he a little bit more action. Maybe his feet is already trying to grab on to kick the ball, or he's grabbing harder on the guy's shirt. Other than that, the background, there's not too much distraction. The referee, there's not much you could have done here because he seems to be somewhat close to the action, but he's still blurred enough not to distract. The framing seems good. It's a nice football picture. There's even some water droplets that you can see if you start zooming in. But yeah, good job, Srdjan, and thank you for submitting the photo. So the next picture is by Dirk, and then you try to pronounce your last name because I can't. So it's a panel shot, someone cycling. And now the picture is really small, so I can't even zoom in almost anything to check how the focus was or anything like that. So what you see is what I have on the screen. Seems to be in focus enough. And you can see the motion blur, intentional motion blur on the background. The only thing I don't like too much is the background itself, because it's a little bit busy. Even though there's no people, I wish it was a bit more clean, like a sky or something a bit more dull that you cannot understand what it is. So not a building with a gate and a sidewalk, if that makes any sense. Not to take away from the pictures, because the panel seems to be done really well. So good job on that. The editing is okay too. The cropping, though, careful with cropping. You're almost cropped off the helmet there at the top. But other than that, good job on the panel. Thank you for submitting your shot, Dirk. I like it. I like panel shots. I think it's an art that takes a while to practice, but once you do get it right, it makes for awesome pictures, doesn't it? Thank you for submitting the picture. Okay, so the next one is by Pascal Kesselmark. Now, I don't have any settings at all, no metadata for this picture, so I cannot comment on any of that. But this was taken in Switzerland, as far as I know. Now, I'm not going to try to pronounce the word LAAX, because I don't know how that would be pronounced at all. But that was taken at that snowboarding event, which, according to Pascal, ended that day. They had to close it. And above all, he says it was very slippery on the ice half pipe, and he had to wear climbing irons to get to where he was to take the picture. And then it was freezing cold, it was snowing, so you can imagine just the effort to be there to take the picture. So just based on that, kudos to you, Pascal. Well done. I mean, sometimes being ready and being at the situation or the place to take a picture is a marathon, right? And to be there and then to be able to take these pictures, people don't understand or don't know how hard sometimes it is for people to get to be in a place like this and take photos. So kudos to you. Well done. As for the picture itself, I love it. I mean, you can see the snow coming off the slope at the bottom here from him jumping. Rule of thirds. I mean, I wish he was just a little bit down here, but there's not much you can do in those conditions. I don't know how many frames you took. Maybe there's one on him coming down just a little bit more, just to make it perfect. Other than that, there's absolutely no distractions on the background. Dark sky. I don't know how hard it was lighting wise. I assume hard. I mean, I shoot a lot of times in poorly lit situations in football, so I assume this is just as difficult, if not more. You have a little bit of context here, people watching the guy. This guy looks like he's filming or taking a picture himself. He seems to be sharp enough. I mean, yes, there's gonna be noise in this picture because it's pitch black, but you can see the snow falling. You can see the snow here getting off the slope. I love it. Great job. Thank you for submitting your picture, Pascal. Okay, so this one is by Will Matthews. Football picture. Focusing seems to be good. Tack sharp. Everything's fine. There's a little bit of noise. Now I cannot see the settings that were used for this picture, so I cannot comment on that. Just seems a little bit noisy. I don't know how much of a crop this was. Framing wise, if you were no, just talking about framing, not the distraction, but framing wise, good job. Now the distractions though, like these two guys, the ref, I assume that's the ref in the background, and another player. I wish they were not there, but it's not like you can crop too much, because if you start cropping here, you're gonna cut off that guy's head. These two on the back, they give a little bit of context, so that's fine. I'm not too concerned about them. But these ones are the distraction that I wish were not in the photo. But again, there's not much you can do here. If this was your point of view, maybe a separate picture from the same photo was better. I don't know. I only see what I have in front of me. As far as the main action is concerned, I like it. This guy's going down. I don't know if it was a foul or not. They're both looking at the ball. This guy's expression is funny because he's, I don't know, he lost the ball, or he's being brought down. I don't know. It looks good. I like the picture. Good job, Will, and thank you for submitting your photo. Okay, so the next one is by Gordon Kalisch or Kalisch. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. You can see the settings at the bottom again, and the one that pops up right away is 8000 ISO, right? And when the ISO is that high, sometimes a good trick is to just turn the picture to black and white, because the noise will be less noticeable. It'll be more acceptable even. In this case, with this type of picture, I would turn it black and white no matter what. Detailed shot, I'm someone getting ready for a fight. The focus is spot on the hands. The framing is beautiful. This is one of those pictures where I would not follow the rule of thirds. I would frame it exactly like you did, smack in the middle. I love it. It's a great shot. Obviously, just out of curiosity, I would like to see the guy's face, maybe see how it would turn out to have a vertical portrait of the same scene. But regardless, this is your choice and this is your shot, and I absolutely love it. Really good job. There's not much I would do. Possibly on the editing side, I would make it a bit more contrasty. I would get the blacks, raise the blacks and or raise the highlights. I don't know. I'd make it a bit more contrasty. But this is your edit, and I absolutely love the picture. Really good job. Thank you, Gordon.
And that's it. That was a long video. I hope you liked it. If you did, hit that thumbs up. Helps a lot. If you loved it, subscribe. And if you want to see more videos, just wait for me to get off screen and click on those. And one last time, if you want to keep submitting those photos, please do. Emails on the screen. And that's it. Thank you so much for sending your photos, guys. I really appreciate it. Take care and stay safe. Bye-bye.